Hello everyone, Trophy Wine Hunter. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is my update for June 2025. This month I will be visiting Hong Kong and I will hopefully have some videos from there, some short tastings. We'll see what's hanging out there. I'd love to check out what's available in Hong Kong and the difference in prices, so maybe we'll do some videos on that. What else is happening on this month? I have some exciting videos. I did a video on the 2008 Pichon Lalonde. I'm doing another video on a 1975 that I had. I had a very exciting tasting with one of the local wine agents here, a portfolio tasting that goes through their wines, and they have some really interesting wines in their portfolio. I also have a video going back from last month when I visited Ferreira Port House in Vila Nova de Gaia in Portugal. And then also I've got a tasting of the 2012 Beyond de Sandy Annata wine. I've had 2018 Liwa Bourguignon Blanc, so lots of tastings. And also this one, the 2017 Mascara. I've been doing a lot of drinking, I guess, in the last little while. Excited to bring you the tasting notes and reviews. This month I talk about some things to do with wine, and I am going to, over the next couple of months, don't know when to get to it, two important videos. One about BC wine, because the BC wine industry has gone through a lot of problems over the last couple of years, which has affected their harvest. And we have what they call crafted in BC wines. I want to do an explanation of that and give you my take on that. The other thing is I've seen some videos online about people bringing wines to restaurants. I want to just kind of go through that, the etiquette of that, some of my thoughts about that, because it seems like people are confused about that, how you bring in wines to restaurants, the corkage, and the whole etiquette part of it. So hopefully I can give you some views on that. One other point I want to make as I'm sipping on this delicious Mascarello is the overemphasis that people have on wine scores and ratings. Wine scores are personal, and everyone thinks, well, a 95-point wine is better than a 92-point wine, or by me scoring a wine 95 points, that means I always prefer to 92 points. That's not the case. That's just a technical score for me to kind of remember kind of the quality of the wine. But there are wines, this is one example, Mascarello. I may not score this wine as high as some other wines, but it's a really interesting wine and it's got an incredible history. And that's something that blind tastings cannot teach you. They cannot talk about history. They cannot talk about significance. Blind tastings can't talk about, the age of a wine and how incredible it is to drink a World War II or World War I wine, or 100-year-old Madeira. That's not something a blind tasting can tell you. That's the emotional experience of human beings. And that's something that I think we underemphasize in this technologically savvy world. Everything is about scores, empirical scoring of things. I don't believe that that's the case. And I was like that when I was a beginner. I always point chased or trophy wine chased. I always looked at the score first and then drank the wine, and I actually do the opposite now. Now I'm more confident about my abilities. I don't really care what people think about what I say about a wine or whether I like a wine or not. So I do the exact opposite now. When I generally drink a wine, I actually drink it first without looking at tasting notes from anyone else. I make my own notes, I score my own notes, and then I go back to the notes of other people and the scores, and then, oh, maybe there's things that I didn't pick up. Do I pick that up? And if I rate a wine 92 points and someone else rates it 99 points, does that mean I'm wrong? No, it's not. I just say, okay, I didn't rate it the same way. In general, I've found that I rate within plus or minus 2 points of Wine Spectator almost, I would say, 95% of the time. That's maybe because I'm used to Wine Spectator scores and I've drank so many wines that I know what their scoring is kind of like. So I kind of have that in my mind. But that doesn't mean I'm a good taster. That just means that my palate has perhaps been aligned towards Wine Spectator ratings because I followed them for so long, for that many years. So I really want people to kind of get this out of their mind. That is really the lowest level of wine tasting or wine appreciation, in my opinion. It doesn't matter how much book knowledge you have, if you continue to go and overly care about other people's opinions, other people's scores, particularly wine experts, YouTubers, I think you're really at a basic level. Really, to understand or to enhance your wine appreciation, just get into wines and just have your own opinions. And other people's opinions, respect them, but they really shouldn't influence yours. I really want people to be individualized and not kind of follow trends. That's why sometimes I will give opinions that are very contrary to most other wine critics or wine experts, because I think a difference of opinion is a good thing. There should be more opinions in the world. And as long as they're educated or logical, I think there's room for that in the world. And what I'm trying to just get at is, I really hope that people take wine tasting as an individualized interest or hobby, and that they don't get so caught up in the empirical learning of wines that they forget what wine appreciation is about, which is happiness, joy, and really just appreciating that with people, learning about the culture, but also having great food with it and having great company. That's the real emphasis of wine. And when you start to actually enjoy wines for what they are, appreciate them for what they are, being able to really enjoy a wine, even though it doesn't score as high as another wine, I think you've got to a different level. And that to me is really what I'm hopeful that people will understand through viewing my channel, that there is room for differences of opinions, and there is no real one right or wrong way to drink wine. There is more professional ways to do it. If you want to get into a sommelier course, or you want to do that as your job, that's different. But as a hobby, as a consumer, that I think I want to emphasize individuality and the enhancement of your joy. That is the key component to everything, not all this kind of empirical or book knowledge. Don't worry so much about what the experts say, including myself. What I do, and most YouTubers do, wine YouTubers, is really just for, in my opinion, entertainment. Because watching a person drink a wine, give you their tasting notes, really that gives you a lot of great book knowledge, but you really have to taste for yourself. And so watching someone taste a wine blind, in my opinion, doesn't really do very much to help you taste the wine blind. Like watching me drink Mascarello doesn't really help you to understand Mascarello, because you need to drink it. So that's kind of my point. It does help you a little bit, obviously, and that's why I make these videos, that when you do drink Mascarello 2017 beforehand, maybe if you watch my video, that will enhance your experience. But I think the idea of just watching a video when you have absolutely no intention of drinking that wine, the value to you is quite minimal, in my opinion, and it's more for entertainment. So I really encourage people not just to watch videos, but to go out and try these wines themselves. And one of the things that I'll present this month is, I was so fortunate to have an agent who specializes in kind of obscure grapes and wines allow me to taste their portfolio. And these are such interesting wines, and these are the wines that wine lovers should love. But I'll tell you what normally happens in practicality, because I have all these people that always say that, oh, I'm a wine lover, I always want these unique wines. But I'll tell you my practical experience is that whenever we do tastings and I bring an interesting wine and I bring a kind of a trophy wine, what happens? What's the first wine that people drink? It's the trophy wine. It's not the interesting wine. And so people talk that say that, oh, we love interesting wines, but the proof is in the pudding. When they actually put to the test and you give them a wine that's fairly well known and a trophy wine and just an interesting wine, they generally, in my experience, choose the trophy wine. So I really do encourage people to kind of, if you are into wine, search out these interesting wines and give them a chance. Even if they're not well-known producers, if they're not well-known grape varietals, do give them a chance and give them a fair chance. The rest of this video is going to be about the wines in the liquor stores, many of which I drank at the portfolio tasting, which are available in the BC liquor stores, which are very much hidden or undervalued. I didn't notice them. I go to liquor store all the time. Never notice these wines because they may not appear in Wine Spectator magazine. They're not really advertised very much, but they're really interesting grape varietals. And I had the wonderful opportunity of actually tasting them and then being able to convince myself that they were very drinkable and wines that should be tried. Hope you enjoy the rest of this video. Here's what's new and on sale at BC Liquor Stores for the month of June 2025. I chose a lot of interesting wines that I actually tasted at a portfolio tasting at one of the local wine agents who introduced me some really unique wines. So this first one is from the Cahors region in France. This is Domaine Chapelaino 2017 Malbec. It's their Amphit or their Amphora aged wine. So this is a really interesting wine. It's priced at $42.99. We usually are used to Malbec from Argentina, but Cahors also has Malbec. And this is from wines from 1979, grafted on site with old clones of Malbec. So 2/3 are aged in amphora and 1/3 in barrels. And as you know, I'm a big fan of amphora aging. I think that gives it some freshness, and that's what I found with this wine. I will have full tasting of this wine in a future video, but I really enjoyed it, and I love the compare and contrast with Argentinian Malbec, which I found a little bit more fruit forward, but this is also an interesting style of Malbec, which is a little bit on the spicier side, in my opinion, with some minerals and some, a lot more black fruits. This is an interesting product, which I think is only available at 39th and Cambie Liquor Store. I actually might buy this and do a review of this. This is just the starter pack for Madeira. This is 5-year-old Madeira, 4 types of varietals or styles of Madeira. You get Bual, Verdejo, Malmsey, and Cercial, and just different sweetness levels. So I think it would be a really interesting tasting. So I actually might go and buy this and then, do a video on it. I just came back from a tasting at Graham's 1890 Port Lodge and really have a new appreciation for port. So this is a great product, around $46, but it's a 10-year-old tawny port. And again, tawny ports are going to be tawny in terms of their amber color or tawny color. And then they're going to be a little bit less fruit forward than vintage ports, a little bit more kind of tertiary or secondary characteristics. You get the oakiness, the caramel notes. So very interesting. And again, with port, you kind of sip a little bit of time. So $46 goes a long way. You can have that over a couple of nights and really enjoy it. I'm just getting into the ports and the Madeiras, and the port house tour and tasting really helped me to understand ports and appreciate them a lot more. So I think this is a great product. Another great unique product that's very well priced. This is the Castel de Giglio 2022 Cesinè Lazio IGT Rosso wine. It's made 100% from the Cesinese grape, and price point is $25.99. This is a winery that was started in 1967 by Dino Sartorelli. And it is from the Lazio region, which is not as famous, but a really value type region
This is gonna give you like very dark fruit, dark, almost some graphite and some smokiness. Really got intensity, great intensity of flavors, some cherry, some spiciness, some violets, some black peppers. I think it's a really neat grape varietal, almost like a medium-bodied red wine, which kind of goes well with chicken dishes or turkey. So I really enjoyed tasting this wine. Another really unique wine. And these are for people that are always complaining about, I'm so bored, the BC liquor store has nothing new or nothing unique. These are really unique wines, people. And so I would try and recommend to try them. Not really expensive. This is $35.99. So this is from Bodega Bermejos. It is considered a Spanish wine, but it's actually from the Canary Islands. And it's located in the island of Lanzarote, which is one of 7 Canary Islands, which I guess belongs to Spain. It's made from the Malvasia volcanica grape, and it's a white wine that's gonna have really unique palate things. So it's gonna have things like kind of citrusy fruits, but also dried herbs and minerality. So it's kind of very unique in terms of the taste profile. And I think it's the grape types are indigenous to the Canary Islands. So it's really neat to kind of try something a little bit different. Now let's go to some Bordeaux. There's quite a few Bordeaux's on sale this month. A lot of them are second wines or second labels of kind of not the first growth, so I'm not particularly inclined to those. But this wine I think is quite a nice deal if you get the right price. So right now it's $80 reduced to $65. It's 2020 Chasseline. Chasseline is a very good producer from the Mouly region. It's established in 1822 and always presents a very kind of robust wine. It's very good, easy, very well balanced drinking wine. It doesn't need age a long time, so you can drink it fairly early for Bordeaux. The 2020 vintage was a blend of 49% Cabernet Sauvignon, 42% Merlot, 6.5% Petit Verdot, and 2.5% Cabernet Franc. 2020 was a wonderful year, and so you can pop and open this with a little bit of variation. You can just wait another 3-4 years, but you don't have to wait 20 years for this wine. I know I just said that I don't prefer second wines of Bordeaux wines, but the exception is first growth or first growth equivalents, and I think this is kind of a very good example. This is La Chapelle de La Mission Haut-Brion, which is the second wine of La Mission Haut-Brion. It's reduced this one from $200 to $160. And the other rule I have is that normally I want to see a wine at least the second wine at least 1/3 of the price or more of the first wine. So if the first wine in this case is $900, then I expect the second wine to be $300. And if it's less than that, then you're getting a pretty good deal. In this case, it's $160. I think you're getting a really good deal. It's a fine wine, La Chapelle Mission Haut-Brion, and because it is a second wine, it kind of drinks a little bit younger, so you can approach it a little bit faster and don't have to wait as long. You could probably drink it in another 3 years, and it would start to unfold quite a bit compared to La Mission Haut-Brion, which would probably take another 8 years before you could drink it. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, happy drinking.